Gary mentioned what Russell Vogt said about the president having just won an election. I just won an election by double digits, and what I can tell you is that most people voted for cheaper eggs. They did not vote for this chaos. And people are absolutely beside themselves with what's going on out there. And yesterday, despite what the White House has said, enormous numbers of people in red and blue states were impacted by this. And I think it's probably smart to start with Medicaid because it has such an enormous impact, especially on rural states. Medicaid obviously impacts poor kids and is how they oftentimes access health care. It's also how we finance much of the nursing home system and the long-term care system. All of that was thrown up in the air yesterday as our portals were locked down and reimbursement stopped. Now, by the end of the day, they said, oh, no, Medicaid, we didn't mean that. Well, why? Was it a coincidence that all of us had our Medicaid portal shut down at the same time? And this is true of, despite what I've seen the White House say on cable news this morning, Head Start and nonprofits who serve veterans, who serve sexual assault services, who do housing in our communities. If you just look at New Mexico alone, let me walk you through some of the programs that were impacted yesterday. The New Mexico High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Program. This is the law enforcement coordination program that we use to go after cartels and fentanyl trafficking. They could not access their funds yesterday. Is that what we want? We want our law enforcement cut off from the funds that allow us to attack the fentanyl problem and go after the cartels who are profiting off that? Schools were thrown up in the air as would they be able to pull down their grant money, and do they need to start making decisions immediately about other services because they won't have those grant fundings? Here's one that really pisses me off. Sexual assault services in Northwest New Mexico. I heard from the primary nonprofit that provides sexual assault services in the northwestern part of my state. They told me yesterday, quote, as a victims service provider, this memo directly threatens our ability to serve survivors of sexual assault. These survivors cannot wait for a pause while a federal agency analyzes the funding that enables us to provide them with life-saving services. They need our help now in the immediate wake of the most traumatic and difficult moments of their lives. That kind of sums up just how ridiculous this order was and how it threw the most basic services into question yesterday. I talked to a tribe as well. I talked to a number of tribes. We heard from all corners of Indian country in our state yesterday. One of the Pueblos told me they are still locked out of their housing funding even after the judge's order took effect. So they are still locked out, and people who have given up their previous housing, given up rental agreements, were getting ready to move into houses, can't do that right now because all of their funding has been frozen. Disaster assistance. This one has got to have everybody scratching their heads. We have had unprecedented disasters recently in New Mexico. We had huge fires in both the northern and southern parts of our states and the floods that come after those fires. Right now, as of this morning, we were asking FEMA if these funds are still paused or not, and their answer to us was, we don't know. So you're going to tell people who are the victim of these fires, one of which was actually the result of actions of the federal government that impacted these communities, that we're going to hold up your disaster assistance funding until we figure out whether giving you that funding is somehow woke? I mean, this is just ridiculous, folks. So my message to all of you and to the administration is simple. let's follow the law. Let's get back to democracy, and let's get back to work for the American people who just want to be able to go about their lives without this chaos.